The steam from the industrial sinks always feels like a cage, thick and suffocating, a far cry from the warmth of the small shop I once owned. It clings to my skin as I scrub another pot, my hands raw and red from the scalding water. This isn't the life I imagined. But then again, grief has a way of rewriting your story whether you agree to it or not. Hi, I'm Nora Castellane, 37 years old, widow, and live-in maid to Beatrice Castellane, my ex-mother-in-law. That's right, the woman whose son I married, whose son I loved with everything I had, is now the woman I serve 14 hours a day in her Kensington townhouse while she reminds me constantly that I should be grateful she didn't throw me out on the streets. After my husband Julian passed away 2 years ago, I lost everything. The bakery we built together, Sweet Ember, went under within 6 months. The medical bills, the funeral costs, the rent I couldn't pay while I was drowning in grief. It all piled up until the bank took the keys and the landlord took the equipment and I was left with nothing but a suitcase and a wedding ring I still wear on a chain around my neck. Beatrice, in what she called an act of charity, took me in. But charity, I've learned, can be the cruelest prison of all when it comes with conditions. You're lucky I took you in, Nora, Beatrice hissed this morning, adjusting her triple strand of pearls in the hallway mirror as she prepared for her high society tea. Her eyes met mine in the reflection, cold and sharp. Most would have left a failure like you to the streets. I didn't argue. I've learned that arguing with Beatrice only makes things worse. I just nodded, swallowed the bitter taste in my mouth, and returned to the kitchen to finish the lemon tarts. The tarts are my own recipe, one I developed back when Sweet Ember was thriving. Delicate pastry shells filled with silky lemon curd, finished with a whisper of lavender honey and a candied violet on top. They used to be our bestseller. Food bloggers would post photos of them with captions like, "Heaven on a plate," and "Pure magic." Now they're just another item on Beatrice's tea service, and she'll take credit for them like she does with everything I make. The guest of honor today is the Duchess of Averley, a woman Beatrice has been trying to impress for months. She's royalty, influence, the kind of connection that could elevate Beatrice's already inflated social status even higher. Beatrice has been insufferable all week, making sure every detail is perfect, every surface gleams, every flower arrangement is flawless. And making sure I stay invisible. Keep to the kitchen, she told me an hour ago. I don't want my guests seeing the help looking like a drowned rat. The help, that's what I am now. Not family, not the woman who loved her son. Just the help. I arrange the tarts on a 3-tiered porcelain stand, each one perfect, each one a tiny piece of the life I used to have. For just a moment, I let myself remember what it felt like to own something, to create something, to be someone other than Beatrice's servant. Then I hear the doorbell, and the moment dissolves. The guests begin arriving at 3 o'clock. I can hear them in the drawing room, their voices bright and performative, discussing charity galas and summer homes in the south of France. Beatrice's laugh rises above the rest, sharp and calculated. I carry in the tea service, moving silently, eyes down. Invisibility is a skill I've perfected. Don't make eye contact. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't remind these women that you exist as anything other than a function. But as I set down the silver tray, something makes me glance up. The Duchess of Averley is sitting beside Beatrice, and my breath catches in my throat. I know her, not as the Duchess, not as royalty, but as the broken woman who used to sit on the same bench in Kensington Gardens 3 years ago, before Julian got sick, before my world fell apart. She would sit there every morning, alone, staring at nothing. She wore expensive clothes but carried herself like someone who'd forgotten how to stand upright. Her eyes were empty in a way I recognized. I'd seen that same emptiness in my mother's eyes after my father left. I knew what it looked like when someone was drowning. So I started leaving things for her. A cardamom bun wrapped in parchment paper, still warm. A lemon bar in a small white box. A cinnamon roll with a handwritten poem tucked underneath. I never stayed to watch her find them. I never wanted credit or recognition. I just knew what it felt like to need a lifeline, and I wanted to throw her one made of sugar and hope. I did this for months. Slowly, I watched her change. She started sitting up straighter. She started feeding the pigeons. One day, I saw her smile at a passing child, and I knew she was going to be okay. Then Julian got his diagnosis, and my world imploded. I stopped going to the park. I stopped baking anything that wasn't strictly necessary. I forgot about the woman on the bench. But I never forgot how it felt to give someone hope when they needed it most. And now, she's here. The Duchess of Averley. The woman I helped save without ever knowing who she really was. My hands are shaking as I set down the last teacup. She doesn't recognize me. Why would she? I was just an anonymous stranger leaving gifts. And now I'm just the maid, dressed in a plain black dress with my hair pulled back in a severe bun. I retreat to the kitchen and try to steady my breathing. Nora, Beatrice's voice cuts through the air like a whip. The lemon tarts. Now, I lift the three-tiered stand, the tarts arranged like tiny golden jewels, and carry them into the drawing room. The women's conversation pauses as I enter. I can feel their eyes on me, assessing, dismissing. Ah, the lemon tarts, Beatrice says, her voice dripping with pride. These are made from a recipe I've perfected over the years. The secret is in the lavender honey. My recipe, my secret, my years of work. But I say nothing, I just set the stand on the table and turn to leave. The Duchess accepts a tart on a small porcelain plate. I'm halfway to the kitchen door when I hear her take a bite. Then I hear the crash. I spin around. The Duchess is on her feet, her plate shattered on the floor, porcelain pieces scattered across Beatrice's Persian rug. Her hand is pressed to her mouth, her eyes wide and brimming with tears. Your Grace. Beatrice jumps up, flustered and alarmed. Are you quite all right? Nora, clean this up immediately. I'm so terribly sorry. Silence. The Duchess's voice cuts through the room like iron. Every woman freezes. The Duchess's eyes are scanning the room, and then they land on me. She takes a step forward, then another, her gaze locked on my face. The zest, she whispers. The lavender honey, the way it melts on the tongue. My heart is pounding so hard I can barely breathe. She takes another step toward me. The cardamom buns, the poems written in careful handwriting. The cinnamon rolls that appeared when I couldn't see a reason to wake up in the morning. Oh God, she remembers. It's you, the Duchess says, her voice breaking. You're the one who saved me. The room erupts in whispers. Beatrice's face goes pale, then red. Lady Pemberton's teacup rattles in her hand. I can't speak. I can't move. All I can do is nod. The Duchess crosses the room and takes my hands in hers. Her grip is warm, real, anchoring. 3 years ago, I was in the darkest place I'd ever been. My marriage was falling apart. I'd lost a baby. I sat on that bench every morning trying to find the courage to keep living. Tears are streaming down my face now. And then these gifts started appearing, she continues, her voice thick with emotion. These beautiful pastries with notes that said, you are seen. You are valued. You matter. I never knew who you were. I searched for years. I wanted to thank you, to tell you that you gave me the strength to leave my husband, to rebuild my life, to remember who I was before I let someone else destroy me. She turns to Beatrice, and her expression hardens. And this is how you treat her? Like a servant? Like she's beneath you? Beatrice's mouth opens and closes like a fish. Your Grace, you don't understand. Nora is family, yes, but she lost everything. She had nowhere else to go. I took her in out of kindness. Kindness? The Duchess's laugh is sharp and bitter. I've been here for 30 minutes, and I've watched you dismiss her, belittle her, and claim her work as your own. That's not kindness. That's cruelty. She turns back to me, and her voice softens. What happened to your bakery? Sweet Ember, wasn't it? I found it once after you stopped coming to the park. I went there to thank you, but it was closed. My husband died, I say quietly, my voice barely audible. I couldn't keep it going. The Duchess's eyes fill with tears. I'm so sorry. She squeezes my hands once more, then releases them and addresses the room with the authority of someone who's used to being obeyed. This tea is over. Everyone, please leave. Your Grace, really, this is highly irregular, Beatrice starts, her voice rising with panic. Now, the Duchess's voice could cut glass. The women scatter like frightened birds, grabbing their purses and coats, whispering furiously to each other. Within 5 minutes, the drawing room is empty except for me, the Duchess, and Beatrice. You can't just, Beatrice begins, her face flushed with humiliation and rage. I can, and I have. The Duchess turns to me, and her expression is gentle now, kind. Nora, go pack your things. Everything that's yours. You're leaving with me. My mouth opens, but no sound comes out. This can't be real. This can't be happening. Your Grace, she has nowhere to go, Beatrice says, and there's desperation in her voice now. She's been with me for 2 years. She's been your unpaid servant for 2 years, the Duchess corrects, her voice like steel. She's been living in your basement, cooking your meals, and listening to you take credit for her genius. That ends today. She looks at me again. I have a proposition for you, Nora. My estate has a fully equipped kitchen that hasn't been used in years. I want you to open a bakery there. I'll provide the startup costs, the equipment, everything you need. In exchange, you'll teach baking classes to young people who can't afford culinary school. Kids who need someone to believe in them the way you believed in me when I was a stranger on a bench. I can't breathe. The room is spinning. And, the Duchess continues, a small smile playing at her lips, my head pastry chef, Marcus Chen, has been begging me to find someone to collaborate with on a new afternoon tea service. He's brilliant, kind, and he believes food can heal people. I think you two would work beautifully together. Beatrice is sputtering, her face red, her hands clenched. But I'm not looking at her anymore. All I can see is the door opening in front of me, the door I thought had been locked forever. Why? I whisper. Why would you do this for me? The Duchess smiles, and it's warm and genuine. Because you did it for me when I was drowning and you didn't even know my name. Because kindness should be rewarded, not punished. And because I've spent 3 years wishing I could repay you. Now I can. I look at Beatrice. For 2 years, she's made me feel worthless. Small, like I should be grateful for the scraps of dignity she allowed me to keep. I'll pack my things, I say. Later, the kitchen smells like butter and vanilla and possibility. Sweet Ember Reimagined sits on the grounds of the Duchess's Berkshire estate, a converted carriage house with floor-to-ceiling windows that flood the space with morning light. The walls are sage green, the same color I chose for my original shop. The copper light fixtures are new, but they echo the ones Julian and I hung together all those years ago. The waiting list is 3 months long now. We could extend it, but I like keeping the bakery intimate. Every customer gets the full experience, handcrafted pastries, personal attention, and the knowledge that their purchase supports our scholarship program. 3 times a week, the kitchen fills with teenagers from local comprehensive schools. They learn to make croissants, eclairs, sourdough, tarts. They learn that their hands can create something beautiful. I see myself in every single one of them, the hunger to prove themselves, the need to be seen as more than where they came from. Marcus Chen runs the savory side of our operation. He's 42, Chinese-Scottish, with a smile that could light up the darkest room and a gift for making anyone feel welcome. We started as colleagues, then friends, then, 6 months ago, something more. He doesn't try to fix me. He doesn't expect me to be anything other than what I am. A woman still healing, still learning to trust good things again. He's patient. He makes me laugh. And when the grief sneaks up on me, because it still does, he holds me and doesn't try to make it disappear. Nora, one of my students, a 16-year-old named Amara, holds up a perfectly piped eclair. Look, I did it. I cross the kitchen and examine her work. The shoe is golden, the piping is clean, the chocolate glaze is smooth. That's beautiful, Amara, really beautiful. She beams. This is the same girl who walked in 3 months ago convinced she couldn't do anything right. Now she's talking about applying to Le Cordon Bleu. The Duchess visits every Tuesday for tea. We sit in the garden when weather permits, or by the fire when it's cold, and we talk about everything and nothing. She's funding 2 more programs like mine in other parts of the country. She says I inspired her. I think we saved each other. For Beatrice, I haven't seen her since the day I walked out of her townhouse with my single suitcase and my head held high. I heard through acquaintances that her social standing took a significant hit after the Duchess publicly cut ties with her. When royalty rejects you, apparently the invitations dry up quickly. I don't take pleasure in her downfall. But I don't feel guilty about it either. Some people build their entire lives on cruelty and control. Eventually, they end up trapped in prisons of their own making. Tonight, after the students leave and the kitchen is spotless, Marcus and I are teaching a special class for mothers and children from a local women's shelter. Women who are rebuilding their lives from nothing, just like I did. We're making cardamom buns, the same ones I used to leave on a park bench for a stranger who needed to know she wasn't alone. You ready? Marcus asks, slipping his hand into mine. I look around the kitchen, at the copper lights and sage walls, at the mixers humming with possibility, at the faces of the women and children filing through the door with hope in their eyes. I think about Julian, who believed in my dreams even when I didn't. I think about the Duchess, who remembered my kindness when I'd forgotten it myself. I think about everyone who told me I was worthless, and everyone who proved them wrong. Yeah, I say, squeezing Marcus's hand. I'm ready. A little girl, maybe 7 years old, reaches out to touch the marble countertop like it's made of magic. Welcome to Sweet Ember, I tell them, my voice steady and sure. Today, we're going to make something beautiful together. The little girl looks up at me. Can anyone learn to bake? I kneel down to her level and smile. Anyone. I know because someone once gave me hope when I needed it most. And now I'm passing it on to you. Outside, the sun is setting over the estate grounds, painting everything in shades of gold. Marcus starts measuring flour. The The mothers help their children tie on aprons. And I stand in the center of my kitchen, in the center of my life, feeling something I haven't felt in years. Peace. The steam rising from the ovens isn't a cage anymore. It's a promise. A reminder that even in the hottest fires, something sweet can rise. I lost everything once. My husband, my business, my sense of self. But I found something better. The knowledge that small acts of kindness echo farther than we ever imagine. That we're never as powerless as we think. That even when the world tries to make you invisible, your light can still reach someone in the darkness. And sometimes, the stranger you save with a cardamom bun and a handwritten note might just turn out to be the person who saves you right back. Life is funny that way. Sweet, unexpected, and absolutely worth savoring.